I'm going to show you today how to do a Google Advanced Search so you can put a little bit more direction in your search that you're doing. If you start up here and put Advanced Google Search, it takes you to a different screen maybe than you're used to. So we click here on our Google Advanced Search and we think about the topic that we're going to be researching. Let's say that we want to look at women's rights. So we might put women's rights here. And if we do a search, it's going to give us anything that has women's rights, rights for women in any order. But let's be a little bit more specific, and we're going to say we want this exact word or phrase. So we're going to put women's rights here under the exact phrase. So they'll only bring us articles that have this exact phrase in it. If you wanted to do something that has any of these words in it, for instance, they give the example of a rat terrier, which is a kind of a dog. If I just put in rat or terrier, it's going to give us all different kinds of rats and rodents, all different kinds of terriers. So you'd want to put it up here to make sure that it's the exact words or phrase. Let's say down here we want to write unity, compassion, support. But these are three words that we'd like to have included in our search that we're doing. But they can be any words that you want to. And you can really simplify it and only have your exact words, and you don't need to put anything else. This gives you the option of taking out a search. So if you don't want anything that has, let's say we don't want racism in our article. So we're going to say without racism. Let's talk about unity, compassion, support for women's rights. We don't need to talk about racism. That's not the direction we want to go. If you go down here, you can choose the language that you want it in. So for most of you, I assume that we're going to do it in English. But for any of you bilingual kids, if you want to do something exciting, you could choose another language and see what pops up. Here's the most important thing for us today is to look at this last update. If you want something anytime, if I just put in women's rights right here, it may come up with articles back from the 30s, 40s, women's rights for the last decade, for the last 100 years. But I really want to know what currently is going on. So I'm going to click on the past 24 hours. It doesn't matter to me which site. Like this has Wikipedia. I don't really need to know. I don't really even want Wikipedia. I'm going to look and see what comes up. So I'm not going to put in a site. Safe Search, we already have filters on our computers, so we don't need to worry about that. So I can jump right down here to my advanced search. This was 13 hours ago, 5 hours ago, 20 hours ago, a student's perspective on why the Women's March mattered. Look what happens if we go back to our search, though. I want you to remember this says why the Women's March on Washington is important. Women's March Sydney, that's in Australia. Let's go right here. If I change my words just a little bit, if I take out this unity, compassion, and support, if I put women's rights up here, and I leave everything else the same, we're going to come up with a different set of articles. So look, here's the creepy neo-Nazi PR strategy they don't want you to know. Isn't that interesting? 7 hours ago. But that's because women's rights are not back to back. This just has something about rights and it has something about women. So that's a lot different than what you're looking for. So you want to make sure in your advanced search, if you want something specific, that you put the exact phrase. We'll just copy that, or actually we'll cut it and move it down here in the exact way that you want to see it.